The infamous KTM SMC R 690. But is it beginner friendly? Well, let's find out. Well, what's up guys? We are back on the KTM, of course, hence the nature of this video, and this video obviously complies with the HUSQVARNA 701 platform. Same. Basically, you get what I'm getting at. Is the Supermoto, the 700cc's, are they beginner friendly or not? I know I'm probably making it look super easy going around on one hand. Ignore that for now. But with this video, I think I'll just give my honest feedback as well as the usual metrics. We'll go over the rideability because they are very tall bikes. The power, are they too much power for beginners? And whether or not, I think from my own personal riding experience, what I think about the situation of whether or not a newbie could start on one of these things. But let me just say before we get into that, I don't know if you guys can tell by the clouds because it's kind of breaking through and not. We're about an hour or two away from a big cyclone hitting New Zealand for 3 days. So my tenacity and dedication to you guys is kicking in because I'm getting out, not even dressed in rain gear. So if we get soaked in this video, you definitely owe me a like for that. So it's of course no secret that these things are notoriously tall for what they are. So if you're less than say 5'8", 5'9", you're gonna have a bit of a problem putting your feet on the ground here. It's very much gonna be one of those situations where you're gonna have to hang off the side, have one leg on the floor and the other leg's gonna have to be cocked up like a dog taking a pee, because these are very tall bikes. As I was showing the clip just now, this is me getting on the bike and I am, I would say honestly, probably a centimetre, if that, off of 6 foot. Round it up to 6 foot, that's how tall I am. And you can see, even with the camber on this car park, my feet barely touch the ground. And there are times where if I'm on like an awkward road or I have to stop at traffic lights and the camber isn't straight or I'm on a hill, I really have to stretch out to touch the floor or jump off on the side. Now if I was a beginner and I didn't have the confidence to ride, as you saw at the beginning, very slowly with one hand, etc., things like that, I'd definitely get caught out if I had to do any kind of quick emergency stopping or putting my foot down. This thing would tip over so fast. That would be my first negative against getting this for a beginner. And I know you guys probably want to hear, oh, it's such an easy bike, it's so slow, so docile. But you do have to factor in that for beginners, handling is going to be a massive priority for you guys, because at the end of the day, you're not going to learn anything if you're pretty much scared of riding the thing. And I'm telling you, if you're going to be riding one of these and you're a shorter rider, it's going to be terrifying, especially at slow speeds, because if you've got one of these, the odds are you probably didn't pay less than, I don't know, 10, 12,000 for it, and I'm saying US dollars. They're very expensive bikes, is what I'm trying to say, unless you get one second hand, and even still, these things hold their value. And I think if you're watching this video and you're actually interested in what I'm saying here, I think you already know this. So that's a big factor. These are not cheap bikes. So going back to what I'm saying, you definitely don't want to be tipping these things over. Even though they are plastic, as in it's easy to replace these things down here, the frames aren't too strong. They are very expensive to fix. It's just not worth it to learn on one of these things in my eyes. Now, that being said, is there going to be that 2% of people that survive okay on one of these? Of course there is. Are you going to be that percentage? I don't know. And that's a risk. That's up to you if you want to take it. But I'm just saying, if you had my advice, I wouldn't take that risk. Because at the end of the day, you can work your way up from a smaller bike, get more comfortable with the idea of being on two wheels, and then when you do get one of these things, you can actually appreciate what they do. And you can appreciate the power, the speed, the fun factor, and you understand handling a bit more, because if you've got on one of these, they're very janky because of their height. Their handling is very strange. It does feel like you are tipping over, like, I don't know, it's like going around the corner on an aeroplane. When they lean, they really lean over. So for the first few miles, even when I got this, when I got on it, I myself was like, why the hell are we leaning so far? And especially if you've never ridden a bike before, or this is going to be your first bike, I don't know, I just don't recommend that, like, that real wide, tall, tippy feeling. You can easily get into those situations, as you guys all too see on those YouTube videos, where people end up just going in a straight line. So yes, that is a huge factor to think of. The ride height of this thing is absolutely nuts. And I'll tell you what, I'm actually on a 360 camera, so let me just stop for a second and let's see how it looks. Me getting off here. So obviously kickstand, that's another factor. This kickstand is very long, so unlike a lot of bikes, you can kind of kick the stand out when it's kind of leant right over. This one, you really have to tip it out so you can kick it. But to do that, I'm putting all my weight on my other leg, so I'm kind of tiptoeing on my right leg to hold the bike up. Now, if I was shorter, I'd probably end up on my ass. And I know, these bikes are so good looking. It's so hard for someone like me to talk you out of getting one of these as a first bike. But trust me dudes, this isn't the whole point of my video to tell you not to get one. It's just to give you my honest feedback and for you to make a decision. But factor that in, because I feel like most people that talk about whether bikes are beginner friendly, they just go straight to, is it fast? Is it going to kill you? When I think you should really start off with, can you even get on the thing and can you stop it from tipping over? That should be the first metric before you think about whether or not it will do 200 miles an hour. Because all bikes are fast, even the little 250s, those things will kill you. Because as the famous phrase goes, it's not the speed that kills you, it is the instant stopping. Yes, I know. If you guys are already thinking about getting this bike, I know that sounds addictive. Everyone likes the Brap, a big single cylinder dirt bike. What's not to love about that? Of course, if you can see, look, it has a lot of grunt. It will get you in trouble like any bike will. Look, I'm in first gear now. It just hops, bumps, jumps. It's absolutely loose, which is good if you are confident and you have a bit of experience. Because if you just did what I just did and you freaked out, guess where you're going? That way, straight on your back. Thank you guys. Thank you. But that being said, I mean, a 250cc will flip if you grab a handful of throttle in first gear. So let's give like a bit more of a real world example, and let's go to the right first. But let's be a bit more objective with what we're trying to get at here. What I'm trying to say is, at the moment, I think the argument for speed on bikes is so skewed because for some reason we now live in this like the kind of realm where you can get hold of bigger bikes and everyone wants bigger is better. That kind of argument, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the goalposts have moved for what is classed as a small bike to a lot of people. Like, some people would say this, a 700cc is a small bike. And it's like, I get it. If you've come from 1000cc or something like that, in some ways, yes, because it's a different power output, of course. But for you newbies, like, no, you don't have the right to say that. Like, you haven't earned your stripes yet to say something like this is a small bike. Until you swing a leg over one of these, you'll realize this is not a small bike, both physically and from a power perspective. This thing goes super fast, man. I don't know if you guys have seen other videos of mine. Like, when I peel this bike out, it goes. And if you stick with me a minute, I'll get to the highway in a second and we can give this thing some beans. But what I'm trying to say is, like, this has enough power combined with the handling and the height to really get you in trouble. Now, if that doesn't scare you and you're still on the fence of, yeah, but Ryan, I want to be cool, I want a Supermoto, and the only Supermoto I like are these bloody 700s. I understand. Why do you think I got one? Can I sway you to start thinking about maybe the DRZ 400 or something like that? Because from a stature perspective, they're not far off. And they will teach you everything you need to know handling wise, and they're still plenty quick. And then I think by the time you get to something like this, then you can appreciate it, because I don't think you will. Like anybody says, you can stick anybody on a 1000cc bike. As I said earlier, some people will survive, they'll do just fine. Majority of people will not see tomorrow. But if you happen to be one of those lucky people, because as humans we overestimate our abilities to do anything, as a guy who does martial arts, I can tell you that from first hand. It'll be the same situation as when newbies come into my gym thinking they are hot and they're gonna kick ass. It doesn't go that way. They get humbled very quick. Now, in this scenario I'm using, at least when it comes to the gym, they get humbled, your ego's damaged, big whoop, you get to start again. Your ego doesn't just get damaged when you come off one of these things, and it might get to a point where you might not even survive. Boring as that sounds, let's be realistic, dudes. I don't want to push the idea for young people, let's say young new riders, to go out, get one of these and kill themselves because I go on a YouTube video, oh, these bikes are so much fun, you can't find any better fun than a Supermoto. Well, yes, in some ways you can't, but it doesn't mean it has to have 700 cc's. Do you understand what I'm saying? 700 is an absolute joke. It's a weapon of a bike. But at the same time, a DRZ 400, a KLX 300 I think they're called, even a CRF L 300, I was going to get one of those over this bike. Hell, even a new 390 that's coming out. I know I did a video and I'll put that up here as to why I got this over the KTM SMC R 390. But I'm telling you, that 390 is a viable option for newbies. Start on one of those, because put it this way, people like the looks of things, but it doesn't mean you're going to actually enjoy owning one. These things are a pain in the arse in some ways, so if you was to get one of these and regret your decision, not only are you going to hate the fact that you can barely control the thing because it's so tall, you're going to hate it because it's expensive and it's too powerful. So why not start smaller, cheaper, and work your way up to appreciating it? Ready? Full gas. The speed in which it gets there is ridiculous. Like, let's say that these guys are doing just under the speed limit, right? If I drop down a gear, no joke, absolutely no joke. And granted, you can slide these things around. Like so. I suppose you can't see that from that angle, can you? But you can take my word for it. These things slide pretty damn easy when you put it into Supermoto mode. But I know doing things like that in these kind of videos isn't really going to help my argument, so refrain from that for another time. So yeah, dudes, I don't know if that was just a complete negative video crapping on this bike from a beginner's perspective. That wasn't my goal, it was just my general thoughts as I go. And as a experienced rider, that's my initial impressions of why I think these really aren't for beginners. Now don't get me wrong, you're probably going to give me a bunch of thumbs down because of this, because most people watch these videos to hear what they want to hear, not what they should. But with that being said, I really don't mind. If you are a Supermoto simp and you advocate these things for newer riders, let us know in the comments why you think so, because I don't know everything, it's just my opinion. And maybe you can give another objectified opinion as to why a beginner would be fine on these bikes. Well, I don't know if you guys can tell, but those clouds in the background are moving at some pace, so that's probably my cue to get the hell out of here, get home to the safe and secure place of my house. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think of this, and if there are any other topics you want me to cover with the Supermoto, just let me know, drop a comment down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, like, comment, subscribe, deuces.
Run fast at the end.